A few days ago, I was scrolling through my Twitter, my X, and I came across this tweet from someone anonymously calling themselves Lilith. A world without religion would be a place with fewer differences, less hate, more understanding, and more love. Now, as someone who has spent much of his career taking on atheism's best, I can tell you that this is a lie. Secular, atheistic regimes killed more people in the 20th century alone, 150 million people, conservatively speaking, than all religious wars from all previous centuries combined. But Lilith here, who seems to think that would be a better world, this is John Lennon's "Imagine There's No Heaven" nonsense. Later that day, my wife and I were out for dinner, and she received a phone call telling her that her father was dying, and we withdrew to the lobby. This was a hotel with a restaurant. We withdrew to the hotel lobby for a bit of privacy, and we were FaceTiming with him when he passed away. Now, 87 years old and in failing health, this was not entirely unexpected, and yet a child losing a parent is always very hard. It hit me very hard too. He was someone that was much loved. What's interesting is that he's a man who had lived a simple life of simple faith, of simple pleasures. He loved his God, he loved his family, he loved his country, loved his church. He loved a little bit of fishing, but it had been very important to him. But just a few weeks ago, he had been here. He had visited us for my youngest son Zachary's wedding, and it was very important to him that he be there for that occasion. And he was, and he was drinking in the sight of having all of his family together. He had his children, his grandchildren, and all of his great-grandchildren all in one place. And you could see how much he was enjoying that. And that duty done, he went home, and then he passed and went to his heavenly home. And he wanted to reassure his family that he was very confident in his relationship with Jesus Christ, and he was very confident in the hope that Jesus Christ had given him of eternal life. He's just going to another place to wait for us there on the other side of the river, so to speak. As I was holding my wife as she's crying, we're weeping together, involuntarily Lilith's tweet came to mind. Now, Lilith is the name in Christian lore. It is the name of a demon, and this person here has embraced it in all of its sinister imagery and meaning. It's very interesting, again, as somebody who has taken on and dealt with, individuals like Christopher Hitchens and Richard Dawkins and Michael Shermer and Daniel Dennett and people like that. It's always interesting to me that for all of atheism's claims that there is no God, that there is no higher power, atheists almost inevitably begin to embrace the occult. And such is the case here when you look at the images of the profile for this person, Lilith. The demonic is what he or she has embraced in this. But you know what really struck me as I was reflecting on my father-in-law's life and the nature of his hope is that it isn't simply that where atheism fails us is in this life, and it certainly does, because a man who is not concerned about being judged in the next life for his actions in this one, and surely individuals like Mao, Stalin, and Hitler, Pol Pot, they all shared in common their atheism and a lack of concern that there was any judgment in the next life. Surely that leads to horrific crimes. As George Washington said in his farewell address, that it is only minds of peculiar structure, he says, that maintain any kind of morality in the absence of belief in God. And that surely is true. But atheism also fails us on a grand scale when it comes to hope. And that is because it is a worldview that says that your life is utterly without meaning. It says the only meaning, Richard Dawkins himself admitted this much to me, and of course it's obvious to anybody who's really thinking, that an atheist must artificially generate meaning for his own life because there is no intrinsic value, there is no higher meaning. There's only that which you kind of give to yourself, which is to say, it's really no meaning at all. And it certainly is no hope. My father-in-law lived his life with hope. He believed that he had real hope. And that is because he was clinging to the promise that Jesus Christ says that those who believe in him, though you were dead, yet shall you live. And that is the promise that he believed in. Atheism can offer nothing like that. And then as I was thinking about this, we mourn our loss when you lose a loved one. We mourn our loss. But if they're a believer, we celebrate heaven's gain. And it strikes me that on his tombstone, it will read, Palmer Hohm, 1936 to 2023. But the reality is, Palmer Hohm was born in 1936 and there is no end date. And that is because his soul lives on in heaven.